Denise. Denise. It's Denise. It's Denise. It's Denise. Denise. It's a podcast party. It's a podcast party. It's a podcast party.
I gotta say, I feel like we're besties now after this. What's up, guys? It's Denise Salcedo. What is up, everyone? Welcome to Speak Now Pro Wrestling. I'm your host, Denise Salcedo, and today it is November 18th. We are just a couple of days away, maybe 3 days away from Survivor Series 2021. So I decided to do a quick stream here today where I'm going to go over all the 6 matches announced so far for the show, talk about some of the lead ups into the show, and also who I believe should or will be walking out winners and who we think is going to be reigning supreme. Is it going to be SmackDown? Is it going to be Raw? Who knows? But first and foremost, I want to thank each and every single person that has tuned into this stream. Without you guys, I am nothing. So thank you guys so much for all of your support and coming into the shows. Now, I normally don't do prediction shows. However, last week I did a prediction show with Lance Storm heading into Full Gear. And this week I decided to do another one because tomorrow I will not be going live immediately following SmackDown and Rampage like I normally do, because tomorrow morning I am flying out to Houston, Texas for Mission Pro. As I mentioned last night, I am taking on a new role, starting a new chapter in my career. I'm going to start doing commentary, and I'm going to be doing commentary over at Mission Pro Wrestling, which is run by Thunder Rosa. So Thunder Rosa's officially my new boss, which is pretty freaking awesome. So I cannot wait for that. So I kind of wanted to make up for the show, because you guys know if I can't make a show, I always make sure to do another show to make up for the show that I can't make. So here we are. Today's topic is definitely Survivor Series 2021. But this will probably be a short stream, a little bit shorter than probably some of my other streams as well, since we only really got 6 matches to go ahead and really talk about here today. But if you were in the chat, please take part in the chat. I want to get your thoughts on who you think might be winning. What do you think about the pay-per-view, etc., etc.? So we'll make sure to go ahead and chat about all of that stuff here. We got a comment from CT who says, the graphic makes it look like a triple threat. Biggie versus Roman versus Hollywood Salcedo. So it's been interesting. I had a couple of people at several different times. So if you've seen my thumbnails on YouTube, I always make sure to put, my banner at the bottom, and then I'll put the wrestlers. So if I'm talking about NXT, I'll usually put the talent that I already know is going to be on the card. Or if they haven't announced anything, I'll always put somebody that I assume is going to be on the show. And then for these prediction shows or these post shows, I tend to put myself in the graphic for the pay-per-view post shows or the prediction shows. And then I'll put the wrestlers in which are announced for the card. Well, there's been a couple of people on Twitter that thought that they were going to be my guest on the show. And I was like, what? These are not my guests on the show. They are just here for the thumbnail. So part of me, a little tiny part was like, man, I hope nobody thinks that Roman Reigns and Big E are coming on this show. I mean, they're more than welcome to, but let's be real, they busy. So thank you so much to CT for sending this in. We got a prediction from Francis R, who says Raw is going to do a clean sweep until Roman shows up. I do think in terms of, and maybe we'll talk about this once I actually go through everything, but I do think for a second that I have a feeling Raw is going to come out looking a little bit stronger here in this brand supremacy thing. And okay, but let's go ahead and get with this show, and let's start talking about Survivor Series 2021. So in terms of the build-up for Survivor Series, I think it's definitely been one of probably the weakest build-ups to a pay-per-view this year, because so they spent a lot of time building up to Crown Jewel, and for the most part, Crown Jewel had a great card and was pretty much a good show, a lot of good in-ring wrestling, a pretty good Crown Jewel episode. And kind of after that, we didn't really get as strong of a build-up for Survivor Series. Now, basically, honestly, probably the biggest buildup are two matches, and that is Biggie versus Roman Reigns. And even then, we haven't even really seen Roman Reigns and Biggie really intertwine. This has been mostly the Usos representing Roman Reigns. And then you have the biggest one of all, which is Charlotte Flair and Becky Lynch. That has had the biggest the biggest story heading into the actual match. And a lot of it has to do with the whole thing that went down when they decided to switch the bouts on SmackDown. And it was reported that there was an actual, confrontation, argument, whatever you want to call it, between Charlotte Flair and Becky Lynch. And since then, we've sort of seen that sort of unravel and explode. We've seen Charlotte throw shots at Becky Lynch in interviews. We've seen Becky Lynch respond to that. And we've sort of been seeing this play out even more so outside of the WWE storyline versus what you're seeing on TV. You also had a recently phenomenal promo by Becky Lynch that she did on Raw, talking smack on Charlotte Flair. So that was some good stuff. So I would say that in terms of what match has the most interest heading into it, I definitely think it's Becky Lynch and Charlotte Flair. But we'll get to that in just a second here. But let's go in and start talking about this show. So I'm going to kick things off with, Randy Orton and Matt Riddle versus the Usos here. So you got your Raw Tag Team Champions versus your SmackDown Tag Team Champions. So obviously you got RK Bro representing the Raw brand, and you have the Usos representing the SmackDown brand. This one has been a little bit, they've actually been doing, a lot with these two teams. Not so much that I would say, oh, I'm super hot or excited for this match. I know it's going to be a good match because of the teams that we're seeing in this actual match. It's going to be good in that sense. You have, such a great team in the Usos, and then at the same time you have Matt Riddle and Randy Orton, who are just phenomenal together. A really good team up there. But in terms of who is actually going to win this match, personally, I think it would make sense for Raw to take this one. We have been seeing a little bit, and this has been going on now for a long time, where we've been seeing sort of turmoil between Randy Orton and Matt Riddle. So we have been seeing that. They've been teasing that. They teased that last Monday on Raw. And then, the Usos have sort of been, taking matters into their own hands. But I got to go ahead and give this one to Raw. I do think that RK Bro should be coming out as winners here today, especially because I'm assuming I don't want to spoil my predictions for the Roman Reigns Matt Riddle. For the Roman Reigns Biggie match. I'll talk about that in a second, but I'm going to definitely go with Raw here. So guys, if you are in the chat, who do you think is going to be taking the win here? Is it going to be RK Bro, or is it going to be the Usos here? We got people saying that it's too hard to pick. We got Ricky saying that it's definitely going to be the Bloodline. We got Jacob Bishop saying the Usos as well. So it looks like we're sort of not necessarily on the same page in terms of who we think is actually going to win. We got a comment from Sour Machine Gun who says, never been less invested in a show, and the biggest build is for a match we've seen 1,000 times. I can't really argue with you on that one. I really cannot argue with you on that one. We got Taylor Cannon also saying the Usos. We got Kyle Rochelle saying RK Bro, and Christian Culver also saying RK Bro. So I kind of feel like people are a little bit 50-50 on who they think is going to win. So this one probably doesn't feel as, you don't feel like as confident with this one. It could really go either way here. But let's go ahead and hop into our next match. Again, we only got a couple of matches to talk about. The next one, which I think is going to be a pretty decent match if they really let them go. I think they're going to have a phenomenal match here, and that is Shinsuke Nakamura versus Damian Priest. We have the United States champion, Damian Priest, and the Intercontinental champion, Shinsuke Nakamura here. And in terms of who I think should take this one as well, I got to go with Damian Priest. I think Damian Priest is the right call here. Damian Priest, we sort of haven't really been seeing him that much on Raw, though, which has been a little bit sort of frustrating here. So I do hope that they kind of give him the win here, because they were building him up, and he had a strong build, and then it kind of went downhill a little bit. They started exploring with this new heel version of Damian Priest, but then even then we had haven't really seen much of a follow-up after that. But when this match was announced, I thought, hell yeah, this is going to be cool. But in terms of who they need to get this win, I think it needs to be Damian Priest, because there is more upside to Damian Priest right now in the stories that they are telling in WWE than there is with Shinsuke Nakamura. Unfortunately, as much as we all like Shinsuke Nakamura, I feel like he's definitely already been slotted on the WWE roster, and where he's at right now kind of feels like the peak of where he's going to be at. Like, if they didn't do anything with him before, I don't really know if they're going to do anything with him in the future. But with Damian Priest, I still have a little bit more hope that they're going to do more with him in the future. So with that being said, I got to go with Damian Priest here. So another pick for Raw here as well. Let's see what you guys are saying here in the comments. We got Jacob Bishop also selecting Damian Priest. We got Pseudoprium, who says Nakamura appears to be the quintessential Survivor Series mid-card champion jobber. Unfortunately, they haven't really given us any reason to sort of really care about Shinsuke Nakamura. I mean, if you're a fan of Shinsuke Nakamura, of who he was outside of WWE, I think you're always going to be a fan of his in WWE, which is why you're rooting for him if you ever root for him. But in WWE, they haven't really necessarily, especially recently, giving you much other than, okay, he comes out, he has a cool entrance, he does this thing with the Rick Boogs. That's kind of about it, though. I don't feel like they've really done anything for me to say, like, hell yeah. Like, I know if they allow this match to have its moment, I do think this will be a good wrestling match. It'll be a good match, period. But I just don't necessarily have too much hope for Shinsuke Nakamura. So that's why I got to go with Damian Priest. I would actually be a little bit upset if Damian Priest didn't win this match, because it just makes way more sense. Ricky also says he's got Damian Priest on here. Sour Machine Gun, same thing with Damian Priest as well. And Overload says Damian Priest is 2 years younger than Shinsuke. They just don't care about Shinsuke. Unfortunately, it feels sort of true, because again, we haven't really seen much done with him. Taylor Cannon says, I'd be surprised if Priest doesn't win. I hate what they've done with Nakamura. What can you say? I have to agree with all of that. Alrighty, everyone, but we're going to go ahead and move on. So far, that's already 2 picks for me, two Raw, 0 SmackDown so far. But we're going to go ahead and jump into our next match here. And the next one that we are going to go ahead and talk about is the men's 5-on-5 traditional Survivor Series elimination match. Over on the Raw side, we have Seth Rollins, Finn Balor, Kevin Owens, Austin Theory, and Bobby Lashley. On SmackDown, we have Drew McIntyre, King Woods, Sami Zayn, and actually, never mind. They took out Sami Zayn. And it's Jeff Hardy, pardon me. Sami Zayn was removed. We have Drew McIntyre, King Woods, Jeff Hardy, and Happy Corbin, with another member to be added to this match here. So honestly here, guys, I mean, looking at the, if we're just basing this off of talent, if we're just basing this off of, really, there's not much else to base this off of other than who's on whose team, right? And you look at this team, and even though you got some good options over on SmackDown, you got strong, you're pretty strong in there with Drew McIntyre and Woods and Jeff Hardy. But you look over at the Raw side, and when you have guys like Finn Balor, Kevin Owens, your former champ, Bobby Lashley, and Seth Rollins, and even Austin Theory. Austin Theory is not like a big star or anywhere near the level of any of these other guys that are in this match. But even then, Austin Theory tends to put on good matches. If he's in there with a good competitor, he'll be good as well. So I kind of feel like this one also has to be Raw, literally just based on the talent that is in this match, because other than that, there really isn't anything else to go off of. So I do think that Raw should also be taking this one. In terms of who I think is going to be added to the SmackDown match, I have no idea, but it would make sense to me to add Kofi Kingston. You have Xavier Woods in there. Why not add Kofi Kingston? But let's see what you guys are saying, guys. If you have different predictions, go ahead and send them in. I'm going to be reading a couple of these as well. Rob Brown asked the big question of all. How will they coexist? You want to know how, Rob? Because brand supremacy. At the end of the day, you want your brand to come out as number one. So that's how they will coexist. That's my best answer for you. Kyle Rochelle says Team Raw. There's lots of wrestlers I like on Raw. We've talked about this. Raw definitely won the lottery when it came to post WWE draft. It definitely feels like Raw kind of won with all of that. And let's see what we got here. Let's go through a couple more comments. We got Luis saying that he's rooting for Team Smackdown. Matt Kensley says Brock Lesnar as the fifth man on the Smackdown team. Confirmed. Book it, Vince. I don't think so. Sour Machine Gun says Raw has 4 out of 5 former world champions on it, and SmackDown has a guy named Happy. Enough said. I should have just said that. Please, Sour Machine Gun, take over the show because you clearly have a better way of putting this together here. But we got our first super chat of the day. Thank you so much to Brandon Charles Powell, who sends in a super chat saying, Joe Gacy gets added just to tick all of us off. You know what? I don't think I would, let's just say, I'm just gonna take the bait here. Let's just say that it were to happen. It's not gonna happen, but let's just say it was going to happen. Honestly, I don't think it would make that much of a difference. It probably would even add a little bit more interest to this men's 5-on-5, which is not saying much. It's actually pretty darn terrible to say that, but it kind of would. I mean, you got Happy Corbin here, and you're going to have Madcap Moss in his corner. I mean, man, what can I say? Thank you so much to Brandon for sending that in here. We got more people kind of agreed. Matt Hensley says, no joke, I'd be fine with Gacy. Jesus, guys. Jesus. Honestly, that is exactly how I would feel as well. Sheldon Jackson says, I'm on team. I really don't care about the show on Sunday because the build has been suckish all the way through. Damn. Sheldon, I didn't read your entire comment. I read like a portion of it, and I thought you were going to give me a legit team that you were on. And I started reading your comment, and by then it was too late. So we got a comment from Turbo Dreams who says, wouldn't it be funny if it was Von Wagner, given how he just showed up out of nowhere? Von Wagner, that seems to be his theme. He just keeps showing up out of nowhere. So he was the one put into that Fatal 4-Way on NXT out of nowhere. He appeared on SmackDown out of nowhere. I mean, if they were to add him to this match out of nowhere, it would technically be sort of consistent to his character. So that would actually it would make sense in a very odd way. But whatever. We're just joking around, having a little bit of fun here. This is a comment from Christian Culver who says, I think SmackDown, but I could totally see Drew McIntyre being the sole survivor, but maybe I'm putting too much faith in WWE, and since I think he'll fight Roman in the near future. He's definitely fighting Roman in the near future. That's the biggest story that they have, the biggest potential story that they have on SmackDown. We also got a couple more super chats. Thank you so much to Justin Spencer, who sends in one saying, Denise, you look beautiful as usual. Thank you very much. I look better in the mornings. I feel like at night I look like butt, so I prefer the morning shows, even though all my shows are at night. It's kind of like the end of the day, you're tired, your face is showing it, whatever. Justin Spencer continues on by saying, do you think Alexa Bliss can make her return this Sunday and cost Charlotte the match for revenge? You're on to something there, because we will talk about Becky Lynch, Charlotte Flair in just a second. Now, I don't necessarily know how long Alexa Bliss was supposed to be out for. That could be a possibility. And if it were to happen, that would probably be one of the biggest stories to come out of the show. So I wouldn't mind it. I would definitely actually like that. And it also makes sense given, the recent write-off of Alexa Bliss off of TV, what Charlotte Flair did by ripping up Lily and kind of, making Alexa Bliss go nuts and having the foam come out of her mouth and all of that good stuff. I think you're onto something, Justin. We got a super chat from Chris Ludek. Thank you so much to Chris, who says, what is your dream 5-on-5 elimination match, post or present wrestlers, and who survives? Dude, that's a loaded question. That is a loaded question. I almost feel like I can't answer that just yet because I feel like that would I need more time to think about it though. But see, I need more time to think about that because there's just so many people that I can say. Like if you're talking past present and I just make the rules, That's very, very hard to answer right now because there's so many people that I would probably say. Like on one team, I know I would definitely have Kurt Angle in there. I would have Shawn Michaels in there. I would have Daniel Bryan and Bryan Danielson in there. And you see, like, it would just be too complicated to answer that question. But thank you so much, Chris, for asking either way. All right, guys, let's go ahead and we got another super chat from Chris who says, just tweet me your answer. I'll think about it and I will tweet you my answer. If I do not, please remind me, okay? Because I tend to forget things, all right? But appreciate all of that good stuff. All right, guys, let's go ahead and jump into the women's side. So already, I'm 3-0 for Raw. So far my picks are 3 for Raw, 0 for SmackDown. But before we do move on to the next match here, I just want to remind you guys all, if you're already here on the channel and you haven't already, please make sure to subscribe to F4W Online. We are way past 80,000 subscribers now, but we are still trying to get to 100K. So please join the family. You can say that you joined before we hit 100K. So make sure to subscribe and also make sure to give this video a like because it just helps us to, get this video recommended to other people as well. But now let's go ahead and jump into the next match. And the next match that we have, damn, there's only a little bit to talk about. We got 3 more matches to talk about. But the next one here is your 5-on-5 women's traditional Survivor Series elimination match. We got Team Raw versus Team Smackdown. Over on Team Raw, we got Bianca Belair, Rhea Ripley, Liv Morgan, Carmella, and Queen Zelina. Over on the SmackDown side of things, you have Sasha Banks, Shotzi, Shayna Baszler, Natalya, and originally this was supposed to be Aaliyah in the 5th spot, but instead they are going to go ahead and replace her with somebody else. We do not yet know who the replacement is going to be, so we can definitely talk about that. Make sure to send in your predictions on who you think that may be. We got a super chat from Austin Baker who says, your hair looks great today, and I wish Toni Storm was on Team SmackDown. So as I was looking at this and thinking of like, hey, who should be the possible fill-in, there's 2 options. I think it could go to Toni Storm because hell, why the hell not, really? And the other option is Xia Li. They've been promoting her, so I feel like that would be a cool way to sort of kick things off with her, have Xia Li coming in. That would be a good idea. Thank you so much to Austin Baker for sending in those that super chat. Someone says Dana Brooke is TBD. No, I think it's definitely going. No, is it? No. Or was it a joke? CT says mystery SmackDown woman, maybe perhaps Asuka. Dude, where? Poor Asuka. I have no idea what's going on with Asuka. And Matt Kinsley says, but Denise, Xia Li is still coming soon. We got a bunch of people saying Dana Brooke as well. Oh, man. Oh, man. And this is a comment from Kyle Rochelle who says, I'm a fan of Sasha, but I like Team Raw for the win. I picked Toni Storm to take the spot. Oh, thank you, guys. I wasn't sure if you guys were joking about the Dana Brooke thing or not. Sometimes I can tell when you guys are joking. Sometimes I can't tell. All right. So in terms of the teams, let's go ahead and talk about who's in here and who's not in here. Now, these were all names that were announced on social media, and there weren't any sort of qualified matches or anything like that. Now, some of these make sense. Some of these don't really make too much sense. So over on the Raw side, you have Bianca Belair. That's fine. Yeah, that makes sense why she's in there. Rhea Ripley makes sense too. But what doesn't make sense is why Nikki Ash wasn't part of this. Nikki Ash is a former Raw Women's Champion, a recently former Raw Women's Champion. Additionally, she's the other half of the Women's Tag Team Champions. I have legitimately no idea why she is not in this match. I have no idea why she wasn't selected. Liv Morgan, in terms of who you can say who should be in this match, let's just say Liv Morgan or Nikki Ash. It makes more sense to put Nikki Ash into that match because of her qualifications, right? But I know why Liv Morgan's in there, and I think she should be in there as well because, she's feuding with Becky Lynch, and you want to obviously give Liv Morgan a little something. So I like Liv Morgan in there as well. Carmella, Carmella does not make sense here. If I was going to take anybody out and replace them with Nikki ASH, I probably would take out Carmella here because I think Nikki ASH has more. She should just, I think, in terms of what, like I just mentioned, she's also a tag team champion, former Raw Women's Champion. It would make sense to have her in this match. Queen Zelina, okay, great. They've been giving her wins. She's the queen. I think she should definitely be in this match too. But it didn't really make sense because over on Raw, they did a segment where some of the girls were upset. Doudrop, Nikki Ash, and I forget who else were upset that they weren't necessarily included into the match, and they never really resolved that. They never really explained that. They never really said, oh, this is why you're not in the match. Like, they didn't really ever say that. So it was a little bit confusing, but we'll just roll with it. On the SmackDown side, Sasha Banks obviously should definitely be in the match. Shotzi, she's been doing great now as a heel. Her stuff with Charlotte was great. She's been doing a great job. Should be in there as well. Shayna Baszler makes sense too. Natalia makes sense too, I guess. All of these kind of make sense to me. The only one that really didn't make sense was Aaliyah. So, but she was removed. So there you go. But in terms of who is actually going to take this one, guys, I think it's got to be Team Raw again. They just have more of a stronger collection of women, I think. But I won't be surprised if this one ends up going to SmackDown, but I don't think so. I think this one's definitely going to be Team Raw again. So, so far, all the matches, I've selected Team Raw. But let's see what you guys are saying here. Let's get through a couple of comments here. This is the comment from Christian who says, I'm picking Raw here because surely they shouldn't have the number one contender, Liv Morgan, get pinned before her title match, right? Question mark. That is a good point. It would be great, actually, if she was the sole survivor. That would be really, really good stuff. But I can't imagine her being the sole survivor and not having it be Bianca Belair. Bianca Belair is just a little bit more believable to be that sole survivor. So we'll see. But if Liv Morgan were to make it down to like the final two, I think that would be pretty awesome. But if they definitely want to build her up for that match with Becky Lynch, then definitely, have her as a sole survivor. But we'll see what we got here. Taylor Cannon says, I want Bianca to be the sole survivor. We got Ricky rooting for Team Smackdown. We got Sheldon Jackson saying, I can see Carmella and Zelina screwing Rhea in order to get up the feud for the women's tag titles. That could be a possibility. They'll probably do the whole can they coexist thing. We'll probably see a little bit of that for sure. And Rob Brown says, Nikki to be on the SmackDown team member as she can travel across shows. Oh, no. I mean, I get your point. Here, but I'm going to say no. I think that would be just way too complicated. Although I do think that they're teasing a breakup between Rhea Ripley and Nikki ASH, but damn, yeah, I don't think so. I think that would just be way too complicated, honestly, at this point. And Eric Peralta says, hello, Denise. Do you think that Sasha and Shotzi will create conflict within the team? Of course. We are going to see the can they coexist. They're not coexisting. We're definitely going to get that with Sasha and Shotzi. And oddly enough, it would make sense to their feud and their story. But because here's the thing, that the can they coexist stuff, it works for certain feuds, right? It works, right? But they've done it so much that now it's just kind of like a running joke where even if it were to make sense to the story, because they've done it so much and they've hit us over the head with the can they coexist stuff, it just doesn't, you can't do it anymore. It doesn't matter if it makes sense to the story. It doesn't matter anymore. We've heard it so much. It just doesn't matter anymore. All right. Zane Miller says Lana was a sole survivor last year. There are no more surprises. I forgot about that. Super chat from Brandon. Thank you so much to Brandon, who says, bold prediction, everyone will coexist. I have an opposite prediction. My prediction is everyone won't coexist. We'll see what happens. Thank you so much to Brandon for sending in the super chat. All right, guys, we got two more matches to talk about. Before we do, if you're on the stream, friendly reminder that I do stream 3 times a week. Next week, I will be back on Tuesday to stream following NXT 2.0 Tuesday nights. That's my night. I will be here chatting about the new version of NXT. And that is always a wild ride. You never know really what to expect. I never know heading into the show if I'm going to like the show or if I'm not going to like the show. I have no idea. I always find out afterwards. So that's usually a really fun night because a lot kind of goes down. A lot of weird stuff too. It's also the edgy show now, a little bit, I don't know how to describe it, but NXT 2.0, that's on Tuesdays. Wednesdays, I come on here and talk about AEW Dynamite. That's usually my most popular show of the week. If you missed last night's episode, please check it out. It was a really, really fun one. We had a lot of really good stuff to talk about. Usually the better the show, the more love and excitement that there is on these streams. So you guys can definitely check out that show. And then Fridays, I am here talking about SmackDown and about Rampage. So we got 3 hours of wrestling all stacked into 1 hour. So those are usually pretty fun shows. But let's go ahead and move into the next match here. And the next match that we are going to be talking about is actually the one with the hottest builds going into it. And it is Becky Lynch versus Charlotte Flair. You got your Raw Women's Champion, Becky. You got your SmackDown Women's Champion, Charlotte. Who is going to come out here victorious? This is a tough one, guys. I think it's a tough one. Maybe it's not a tough one. I don't know. I'm going to go with Becky Lynch here. Again, Team Raw. And I think the only reason why I'm going for Becky Lynch here is that I just think that given the way they've painted Charlotte Flair as the villain and they've painted Becky Lynch as the superhero, and there's been all of this outside controversy, all of these interviews where they're throwing shots at each other, I definitely think they've made Charlotte Flair into the heel here, even though Becky Lynch is also a heel. I just think it would make more sense to have Becky Lynch win this, and I would be shocked if they had Charlotte Flair win. It just makes more sense to have Becky take this one. Somebody earlier mentioned that what if Alexa Bliss were to come back and cost Charlotte Flair the match? I hadn't thought about it until that was brought up. That could also be a possibility. As we all know, there is, history with Charlotte Flair and Alexa Bliss. So that could be a thing, but I wouldn't be surprised if they just give Becky Lynch a clean victory here. But this one has the most intrigue, again, because of the drama that unfolded after their title switch segment over on SmackDown, which really led to a lot of discussion, blew up on social media. It turned into a gender thing. It turned into so much. And it was kind of the big talk of the town for like the last couple of weeks here. And sort of the stuff that has came out of it has been fairly interesting. There are some stuff where you're like, okay, this is definitely true. And there are some stuff that I feel have just been tweaked and added for the sake of selling this match and selling this story. So let's see what you guys are saying here. Let's get some thoughts on how everybody feels about this. We got people basically saying that they sense a screw job on the horizon. That would be something too, because I don't know if Charlotte's going to want to necessarily. I don't know. I think it would kill a lot of what this feud is if you just have Charlotte essentially getting pinned clean. But I don't know, guys. I just don't know anymore. Really, I just don't. And let's go through a couple more comments and see what you guys are saying. People here are predicting a DQ finish. And let's go through some more comments. Rob says, I think Becky wins with Ronda Rousey's help. I don't think that's happening. I definitely do not think that's happening. Kyle Rochelle says Becky Lynch for the win and see the match being in the main event. If Alexa shows up, it's weird because Alexa's on Raw and Charlotte's on SmackDown. I don't even remember what brand Alexa Bliss is on. William Weber says, I'm Team Charlotte. Sure, they give her the belts, but they do nothing to build her character. She has had to be the same character for the last 5 years, and she's good at it. I love heel Charlotte Flair. I know a lot of people don't like Charlotte. I'm a big Charlotte fan. I'm actually a bigger Charlotte fan. I'll say Flan. I'm a bigger Charlotte fan than I am a Becky Lynch fan. And I know that's going to surprise a lot of people, but I really like Charlotte Flair. I'm a big fan of her work and a big fan of her heel persona. And I really like her. I also really like Becky Lynch, but I am a bigger fan of Charlotte Flair. But I still think that Becky Lynch wins here. Definitely think that she wins here. And Taylor Keenan says this has been the most interesting build on this show. Man, I don't know, guys, anymore. I just don't know. All right, we're moving on to the last match, everybody. Let's do this. Wow, I'm actually surprised this post show went over 30 minutes. I thought this was going to be a 15-minute conversation. All right, let's get into it. The last match that we're talking about here today, you got your WWE champion Big E versus your Universal champion Roman Reigns, representing SmackDown, and of course Big E representing Raw. Now, this one to me is just a little bit unfair, all right? I think this one's a little bit unfair. And the reason I say that is because Big E is new as a champion. Big E is just kicking off his reign as champion. I don't want to see him against Roman Reigns right now because I know, and with the story that they've been telling, and I believe in everything that they're doing with Roman Reigns, I don't want to see Roman Reigns lose. It doesn't make sense with the whole story that they've been telling. You got to have Roman Reigns win. So with that being said, it affects Big E. Why does Big E got to take the L so early in his championship reign? This is a match that I wish we weren't seeing because I think that both of these guys should be winning, but for different reasons. Roman Reigns to continue building on what they've been building, and Big E because he's a new champion. You don't want to have your new champion take an L just like that. Granted, it's an L against Roman Reigns, but it's still a loss. So this is one of the matches where I'm like, damn. Like, this should not be happening right now. I know it's going to be a good match. In fact, it's probably going to be a great match, but I just don't want to see Big E lose, but I don't want to see Roman Reigns lose. So I'm going to give this one over to SmackDown. So every match, I'm going to say Raw, with the last match, this match here being for SmackDown, guys. That's my prediction. Let's see what you guys are saying here, guys. All right, this is from Sawan, who says Big E gonna lose like Styles and Bryan the year before. And Sam3 says the one time of the year where the story doesn't make sense. Modern99 predicts Big E to pass out instead of tapping or being pinned. That could be a possibility. Anton HHH says AJ Styles and Daniel Bryan were new champions that took the L. True that. As somebody just mentioned earlier there. Hector Rodriguez says, could it end in a draw to keep both strong? I don't know. And we got William Reber says, Roman ain't losing to anyone anytime soon. Exactly. He is definitely not. And I would kind of be pissed if he did, because they've been telling this phenomenal story with Roman Reigns, and they really got something there. And so I don't think he should be losing here. Honestly, he really shouldn't. Brandon predicts double count out or double disqualification finish. I don't really want that, but I wouldn't put anything past them. Matt Hensley says Roman got the first loss in a long time on SmackDown from Xavier by DQ, so maybe Big E can win by DQ too. Rob Brown says this has a great match, terrible finish written all over it for the Roman win. Thinks back to the Demon Rope incident. Oh, I hope not. No, that would really, if they were to do something like that, that would really hurt Big E. So I hope that they don't do that. I really hope that they don't do that here. And we got HH Hot Pie, who says Lesnar can interfere for Big E to win for long-term Mania booking. I'm not completely ruling that out. But I just do not see Roman Reigns losing. Like, I don't rule this out. I just don't see Roman Reigns losing here, guys. I'm sorry. That's it. I'm set. I'm 100% sure Roman Reigns is winning. Okay? 150%. And if he doesn't win, I will be shocked. Alrighty, guys, there you go. That was a quick Survivor Series prediction show. Thank you guys so much for tuning in. As always, friendly reminder that I will not be here tomorrow night, but I will be back here on Tuesday to talk about NXT 2.0. If you guys want to follow up and keep up with all of the adventures and me heading over to Mission Pro Wrestling this weekend in Houston, Texas, you guys can definitely follow me on Instagram and or on Twitter at _Denise Salcedo, where I will be posting a bunch of stuff. Also, additionally, if you haven't seen already, over on my Twitter account, I do have my Survivor Series pizza party giveaway contest currently up right now. So if you guys want to enter and you want to have a chance to win free pizza for Survivor Series, you can definitely go ahead and enter. All you got to do is retweet, make sure you're following me, and leave me a funny GIF, whatever. You can leave one there. Other than that, I'm Denise Salcedo, and I will see you guys on Tuesday night. Have a great weekend, everybody. Bye.